Hi everyone, it's Jean from Jean's Gems. I hope you all are doing well this evening. I'm just visiting for a little bit because I wanted to talk to you about journals in general and also share with you a little project. What I wanted to talk about on the line of journaling or junk journal creations, I've been reading some forums recently, and a lot of people are saying, what kind of paper do you use in your journals? Why do you use that kind of paper? Do I need special paper? And honestly, when we go back to the originality of what a junk journal was, it was a way for you to use things that you already had considered junk, and use that as the base for your journaling project. And then later it evolved into making all kinds of pockets and tuck spots and flip ups and all kinds of great things that you can make inside your journal to make it interesting. But the basic bare journal doesn't have to be anything specific. So I just made a small one because sometimes I do a project and it's nice to have a journal to show you how it fits into the overall project. But this is just bound with some gold thread. I just used a 2-hole stitch. I don't do anything particular with my binding. I just make sure that it doesn't fall apart. So that's where I've gotten my style of binding. You could do 3 holes, you could do 2, you can do Midori style, you can do all kinds of stuff. But this is the way that I do mine for the most part. But for the cover, I usually use some type of harder plain cardstock. Okay, this is just the brown cardstock. And then a lot of times what I like to do is fold in the edges so that I can use them as tuck spots or as a way to put in a card or something for the recipient in the beginning. Now, probably since this is so plain, this will end up being covered, so then I'll decide how I'm going to do my little pocket at the beginning. But I just wanted to show you the kind of papers. This piece of paper is actually, when I go to the thrift store, I always look for blank writing journals because I can take the paper out of that and then dye it, or even use it plain depending on what color it is. A lot of people don't like stark white. So this is tea and coffee dyed. And this is also from a journal. It's a little bit thicker and it's got a rounded edge, and I just tore it out so it doesn't even have to be even. This is regular scrapbooking paper backed with some tea stained lined paper. Here is just a plain piece of designer or scrapbook paper because I have tons of it and I love this green. This is a piece of a book page. So this is one side of it. It was a book about roses. So it's a little bit glossy, and I like that because it adds a little bit of texture to it. This is a page out of an adult coloring book. These are really fun to use because they give you some other designs. You can color these if you want to, leave them as it is, you know, whatever you want to do, but it gives an interesting page in there. Sometimes when I write, let's say I would get this journal and the page would be blank, pardon me, and I decided that I wanted to color in some of the butterflies. I would probably do my journaling kind of around the butterflies and make it more interesting. So coloring book pages, the coloring book are really inexpensive. So if you come across any at the thrift store, you know, that's a great thing to use in your journal, as well as dye them, because they'll come out with really interesting designs. Now, another thing that I use is old stationery paper. So if you remember years ago, you could go and get a pretty pack of stationery at the Hallmark store, or you get the boxes of stationery. I look for those when I go to the thrift because they're so pretty when they're dyed, because they usually have some kind of texture to them. This is also a piece that was scrapbook paper that I backed with tea dye. Here's another piece of the rose book, another piece of scrap paper with tea dye. This is a piece of vellum, envelope, scrapbook paper with tea dye, and then the rose page, and then you can see my middle where I tied my book together. So it gives you a lot to work with, but it's not too huge that it's overwhelming. And I just wanted to let you know that you can use any weight of paper, any kind of paper. I have glossy, I have matte, I have tea dyed, I have vellum. You can put doilies in there. Anything that comes to your mind that you can repurpose or redesign to make a basic journal for yourself. Then, once you decide what design you're going for example, this one, I could go floral, I could go garden, I could do, you know, all kinds of things with this particular design. But once you decide then what your process is going to be, you can start adding all those fancy elements that we learned about from different artists who specialize in junk journaling. And that's where we add our tags and our side pockets and our little envelopes and tuck spots and clusters. So this is just the naked piece. And this is where I want you to understand that the pieces that you use in the journal do not have to be anything specific. If you decide you want to add something to a page that's not thick enough, then all you need to do is back that page with some tea dyed or some copy paper. You can double your pages up and run them through the sewing machine if you have one. So there's all kinds of ways that if there's a paper that you really like that you think is too thin, to just double it up with something else on the back and then sew around it or glue it well, and you have, you know, a thicker piece of paper. So that was my main thing that I wanted to go over, because I think people are getting hung up on, you know, what do I use? How do I use it? If it's too thin, what do I do? You know, and we really shouldn't have to think that hard with the junk journal. Another style that I just recently started, because I have a lot of these, is using reusing or using gift cards that you may get in the mail. Now, I just happen to have a stack of blank ones, so I tried this by putting them together, and I do have some extra paper in here, but this one, basically the design is all from the same paper pack. But I wanted to show you, and let me take some of these papers out. I wanted to show you that it actually opens up so that you get different pages. So we have 1, 2, 3. So we have these 2 pages like this, and then we have this one, and then we have this one. And then on the back, we have one as well. Okay, and then this is the envelope cover that I made. So this has a belly band here. This has some lace over here with a pocket. And then I don't know why, but I like to put a pocket on the back. So I put a pocket on the back. So as you can see with this one, I used just greeting cards to design it. And then what I will do is I'll add a couple little signatures in with some of the colored papers that I have, the dyed papers, and that way I have extra writing space or space to design on. So here's just some index cards and some dyed paper. So even using your leftover greeting cards with the holidays coming up, that would be a perfect thing to do with all your holiday cards once you're finished with them. Or if you switch out for the one, use the ones you had last year, but keep the ones you got this year. So there's all kinds of ways that you can repurpose things and make a journal out of them. So these were all the cutoffs that I had left from trimming this paper here. So this is all about a way to not waste, use everything you have, and then you come up with a great little journal that you can say you created yourself, and you use things that you had around your home. When I first started this journey about 6 months ago, again, I thought that I needed to have all these different papers, and I had to have all these different things that I needed to make. So I hope this is helpful to you and helps you understand a little bit better how the design is. And I hope that you can create something with these ideas, and it'll be more comfortable for you. Now, what I plan on doing is I'm going to make some of these smaller journals, and they will be blank like this. So there'll be a base journal for you, and I'm going to put them in my shop. And if you decide that you want one to start your journal with, that would be great. You can purchase them for a couple dollars in my coffee shop. So that's all I had for tonight. I will see you all very soon, I'm sure, and have a great evening. Bye now.